On everybody, welcome to another edition of Confessions of a Native Son. We're podcasting today at Equal Space with our very special guest, and actually the first guest on the podcast, CITI Medina.
What's up, brother?
What's going on, man?
Nothing much. I'm excited to be here.
First of all, I want to say welcome to the show. For our audience out there that doesn't know about you, just give them a quick introduction to who you are and what you're doing here in the city of Newark.
So the best thing to say is that I am a proud founder of Equal Space, which is a co-working share space for people of color, women ventures, and LGBT enterprises. I've been in the beautiful city of Newark for the last 12 years, working in strategy, and in that work discovered that there was a need for our community to have a safe space that celebrates them and that provides access and resources. So every day I get to find ways to program and build opportunities for our communities to win and to wealth build.
That's awesome, man. And, I was taking a tour, walk around earlier, and I was just so proud of you, bro. This place is just so awesome. I think, in co-working spaces and startups and business, it's really powerful for me to see people of color reflected and being owners and doing stuff like this. Because you started this in, 2015?
Yes, 2015. We did this this wonderful pop-up version. A lot of people had doubt. I think that's the one uniting factor we all have with each other. It's like people can doubt really hard what you're trying to accomplish. So we started as a pop-up shop, completely there for the community, and then grew every year where I reinvested in growing it to where it is today. So I'm really proud of what we've become, the team and I, not just me, but the whole team.
And a lot of people talk about starting businesses in Newark. Like, you guys are on Market Street. You know what I'm saying? Right? Like, if for those of y'all that aren't from Newark, Market Street can be a rough, street. It's urban, it's gritty. But it seems like you all have had a lot of success.
I think it's, because we're reflective, our founders reflect the Newark ecosystem. I think they know market being a central line to our space, and I think they understand that we're trying to be a part of the fabric of the city, not so much some sort of vision that doesn't sync up with what the city has been or where the city is going. So when they come to our building, we like to say we're like that wonderful surprise, because you come into our building, it's a great building, but once the elevator doors open, you start to get a real sense of the vibe and the culture that we created. And we've maintained two. For 4 years, we maintained 2 campuses. We just added the floor downstairs. It's literally opening tonight for our art show. So we have an art show tonight.
Yeah, man. Like I said, it's awesome. And especially when you talk about gentrification and urban communities, you all were here. You're not, you're very organic, and just, again, can't stress enough, where you're located, I think is a testament to who you are as a person and a brand, and what you all are bringing to the city and to the community.
That makes me feel 100% we're hitting the mark, because if we're not showing everyone, not just through the design of the space, but our programming and me being out there, I'm always out in the streets, I'm always talking to people, always meeting with founders to discover what they need, because it's a listening moment. You can't just assume that your programming is hitting the mark if you're not listening to the attendees, but also the community at large. I might perceive it as we have a complete lack of funding in the ecosystem, so that's a huge hurdle, and that's true. But other founders have given me feedback that they're also missing, the education in how to pitch, how to approach an investor, right, how to search out what the right investors are. So that helps us inform the programming, okay, well, we need to do an entire kind of immersion on just that side. What's an accelerator? What is equity? What are those what are those tricks that they need to know in order to kill the game? Because it is, at the end of the day, you have to know the rules in order to play the game.
Awesome, man. No, absolutely. And God willing, once Ironbound Boxing hits and we're, a lot more profitable than we are, I would love to be able to participate and help you all with that stuff, because I think both of us, even that's what brought us connected. It just, we're constantly putting out content and being advocates for the city and people of color and entrepreneurship. I think, social justice stuff is nice, marching in the streets and whatnot, but there's power in starting businesses and creating jobs, and then helping grow and nurture other founders of color so that they can achieve their dreams.
You couldn't say it more. That's exactly why we connected, because we admired each other.
Right.
But I was just no, I gotta connect. I have to see what you're about. Let's meet. Let's talk about what we all have needs.
Yeah.
And I think opening up to having that conversation makes us stronger, not weaker.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes that's always the trick, is like, how much do I show that I need that doesn't make me look bad? It doesn't look bad to say, hey, these are the obstacles I'm facing right now. I know I'm going to overcome them. Do you have any outlying networks? Do you have any ideas on how I could? Because sometimes that's the trick, right? I could give you my problem, and you're looking at it from the outside in, while I'm in the middle of the storm trying to make it happen. And you could know someone who could literally help the next iteration of Equal Space be better. And vice versa. Ironbound Boxing has a ridiculously dope corporate wellness training program. More companies should be taking advantage of that. It's been proven to show the healthier and the stronger mentally and physically your team is, or employees, I don't believe in the employees term, but their team is, the better production, the better they bring to the company. So more companies need to know about you, and that's why I want to be your mouthpiece as much as you are, just helping Equal Space and always giving your insight.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we jump into our sponsors, one thing I like to do on every show is, it is the show's title, Confessions of a Native Son, and I do like to make a confession on here. And one of the things I want to talk about is like, what are challenges you're facing right now? Like, what's a real challenge for our audience out there?
The confession is honestly, Equal Space is self-funded. Like, I'm the principal investor in Equal Space, and while that brings me a ton of pride, I have to always acknowledge where I have limitations, and so my limitations do impact Equal Space. So right now, the obstacle I always say is making sure that we're wise with our bandwidth and where we're putting our resources and our energy, so that way we give our community the best we can, but knowing when to pull back and partner, as opposed to say, oh, we can do that. That's always my obstacle, is like, yes, we can do this, but are we the strongest there? Or are we better by partnering with a great organization like Newark Arts Council? Or are we better off partnering with the city or with one of our anchor companies? That's always my obstacle, is like, I want to help everyone, and then my team reels me in, is like, right, but there's a company and an organization doing that already. So like, getting with them and support them. You don't always have to be the leading voice. So that's my obstacle. My obstacle is like, when do we say, hey, that doesn't line up with what we're doing, but we know a partner that does.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And it's also worth noting, like, most founders of color are going to be self-funded, whether they realize it or not. I know, like, people have these grand ambitions of, like, launching their businesses, but when it's, like, really innovative, and if you're just targeting, like, people of color that's relatively innovative, you know what I mean? Even just how you're starting your business out. And so, it's going to be interesting to hear you talk about that more. But before we, get into the meat of the show, I want to do a quick shout out to our sponsors. First, I want to give a shout out to Dope Coffee. Dope Coffee is a lifestyle brand that pairs urban Black culture with innovative product offerings in the coffee industry. We're not a coffee brand for Black people. We're a coffee brand that seeks to elevate Black culture through a lifestyle of premium coffee and candid conversation. Also, like